came actually as an outsider to the industry. I originally come from the wine world, from the wine industry, which I've been for the last 15 to 16 years. Everything related to wine, champagne, and spirit. But because I'm from the Dominican Republic and I've been smoking cigars probably since I'm 18, I've always found excuses to bring cigars into the conversation. So I love to enjoy a cigar, include cigars in events, in encounters with friends, clients, family. So it's always been part of identity in a way. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years now, with the Carrillo family, there's one of the families that I respect and love the most in the business, we decided to collaborate together and team up. Ernesto is always trying to reinvent himself with every cigar he releases, and this was no different. We've been very good friends with the Merafel family, among others, big names in the cigar world, the tobacco world, and they came up with the idea, why don't we do something that connects both families in a very unique way? So they decided to make this cigar that is Nicaragua on the filler and the binder, and Cameroon wrapper from the best of the best Cameroon in the world, which is the Merafel. They basically rescued the Cameroon from being extinct back in the 90s, and their story aligns a lot with the Carrillo family story, and a story full of challenges, full of successes, and we believe the word endure symbolizes a lot for both sides. So voila, we have a lovely cigar that we're gonna try in a minute with our team here at Grauer. So I think it's a good moment to share with people that although Carrillo is a name that is like a legendary name in terms of cigars, because it's more than 100 years of tobacco history, the actual Carrillo brand is a very young brand. It's a 15-year-old brand. So we started in 2009 when Ernesto set up the factory in the Dominican Republic as Carrillo as a brand, EPC, Ernesto Pérez Carrillo. And he decided to create the factory with a name in mind, Tabacalera La Alianza. And Alianza is something that means a lot to Ernesto. His allegiances, his partnerships, his friendships across the world around all these years of career that he's got in tobacco and cigars have meant a lot to him and the people that he has poured himself into. So that was the name that came to mind at the time. But then we encountered the challenge that any young brand at some point faces. A challenge of identity, a challenge of unifying who we are, what we do, and where are we in terms of a sense of place. So with introduction of Casa Carrillo as our new name, Ernesto Pérez Carrillo III, the son of Ernesto Sr., decided to unify all those pieces of history, all those pieces of trajectory that the family has in the tobacco world and create it under one umbrella. Casa Carrillo is from now on the name that defines what Carrillo does and believe, and it will make it easier for people to find us when they go to ProCigar and they go through the program. When you see Casa Carrillo, that's us. You can come visit us. I don't know if Ernesto dedicates too much time thinking on who's gonna smoke his cigar. I think he spends all this energy and effort trying to do the best of the best that he can create, and he's truly passionate about this. So he's so focused on that, but I think that's the real ethos of Ernesto. He likes to challenge himself to make each blend better version of his portfolio. Although I found a lot of new generation smokers, which we have a ton coming up in the last couple of years. I guess smoking cigars now is it's sexier than it was a couple of years ago, and younger generations are trying to distinguish themselves and try to look for quality more than quick hype. And Carrillo is one of those names that if you want to obtain that, I think you can rely on quality, savoir-faire, and the different styles. I think we kind of have one cigar for each cigar smoker. For the newcomers, for the more seasoned, people that like full power, full strength, people that like something more balanced. So I guess it's a comfortable house, Casa Carrillo, to find something that will please any palate, especially the newer generation smokers. It's good to mention that in Casa Carrillo, we specialize in the cigar more than growing tobacco. We do not grow tobacco. What we do is we source tobacco from all over the world, And Ernesto is one of the top master blenders of the world. So his true superpower is make amazing blends. So yeah, as you mentioned, the entire process since the tobacco, first purchasing tobacco, which is it's a skill in itself. But before purchasing that tobacco, we benefit from the amazing relationships that Ernesto has around the world. We are extremely blessed to work with some of the best families in the world in terms of tobacco. The Merafel family, the Plasencia family, the Oliva family. So that puts us in a very, very favorable position to source the best. Once you have the best raw material, then we need somewhere to store it. And actually, one of the recent changes that we did in the factory was creating or setting a space next to the production facilities for storage only. And we went on a shopping spree, and now we have a lot of tobacco because the amount and the quality of the tobacco we have will be proportional to the amount of creativity Ernesto can have. You know, he's got free range now to create, to blend, to test. And some people don't realize that for Ernesto to get to one blend, in the case of Andur, for example, he went through just above 50 blends to get to that final blend. The family has been telling him that since the blend number 28, things were okay, it's fantastic, let's do it. And he was still pushing the limit as he likes until it's presque parfait. So he arrived to around 50 blends, and finally the cigar is released. So that's extremely important for us. So we do control the process of the fermentation, aging, resting the cigars, rolling, and we have a fantastic team led by our production director in the factory, which is none other than Jorge Maiki, which some people might know that name from the Habanos day, from the Coiba days, because he used to be the man behind Bejique. So I think he knows a few things about cigars and production, and we're blessed enough to have him in our team for the last, I believe, 3 years or so. And of course, we're streamlining process in the factory with Mikey's leadership to have the best result possible. Behind the scenes, and not so much behind the scenes, I think we've said this in the past already, but nonetheless, we have two big goals to obtain from now on. One is continue to allow Ernesto to be at his maximal creative capacity. That's as an internal goal, that's extremely important to us. Number two is to provide as much quality and pleasure through cigars to our consumers around the world. In order to attain those things, we're going to, every year, starting from last year onwards, we will be releasing limited edition / limited production cigars at least once or twice a year. It will depend a little bit if for domestic market or US market, as we say, or international market, meaning anything but the US. But we'll always have something new on the grill cooking for consumers around the world. So Ernesto and Lisette have a commitment to do that. So our marketing department and our production department is working very hard for that to be accomplished. So yeah, starting with 15th anniversary in Andur, you can expect new things coming in 2026, hopefully first quarter of the year near PCA dates, and last quarter of the year near dormant Intertabac dates. Those are the two release dates. Hopefully some of them will be in quantities that we can, spread the love with as many markets as possible. Some of them, depending on the tobacco that we use, will be 1,000 boxes, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 boxes. So it will depend on raw material, but excited to see what's coming and looking forward for everybody to enjoy. More than the most special cigar, as in cigar producer or cigar style, to me is a cigar moment. And my most special cigar moment is always when I am sitting next to my uncle back in the Dominican Republic in Santiago. We're sitting in his backyard, in his house. We're smoking cigar together and having a deep conversation about life and other interesting subjects. That, to me, is very hard to replicate anywhere in the world, regardless of what we're smoking. But that's definitely where my heart is sitting in terms of the best cigar experience, I would say. Although, yes, we produce amazing cigars, there's one cigar in particular that for sure packs so much of not just the history, but of Ernesto's skills to blend and choose a organoleptic profile and to play around with tobacco, and that has to be 15th anniversary. Amazing cigar, aged for 15 years on the binder, 10 years on the wrapper, around 7 years on the filler. a blend of around 7 to 8 different origins of tobacco, created in an extremely balanced way, medium strength from head to toe, and beautiful complexity and layers of flavors that I think will intrigue a lot of people. I wouldn't say only seasoned cigar smokers. I believe because it's so, I wouldn't say mild, but so approachable in terms of strength, it will also probably conquer some new smokers, especially if you're somewhere around making a transition from old world to new world, from Cuban to non-Cuban, or if you just want to go outside of what's common amongst your cigars in your humidor, you want to try something different, I think that's it. Think about hot chocolate, think about torrefacción, so roasted coffee, think about leather, aged leather, extremely complex, extremely deep flavors. It's become one of my favorites. Sadly, it is a limited production. We actually have a link between that cigar and one of the first, if not the first cigar that we produce in that factory in the Dominican Republic. Actually, I can show you. This is La Historia, which we produced back in 2009 when we set up the factory. We created this lovely cigar to start this new history of Carrillo in the Dominican Republic after leaving Cuba after many years. That cigar features a San Andres wrapper, oily, dark, very interesting wrapper, one of the best we've tried. And Ernesto really liked this wrapper so much that he took the first batch of that tobacco and he put it aside and he said, well, one day I'll make something special with it. Well, I guess that day has arrived because now he retrieved that tobacco from our warehouse and he put that wrapper in this lovely, lovely, lovely cigar, the 50th anniversary. So there's a connection between our starting point in the Dominican Republic and our 15-year mark as a young, old tobacco or cigar brand. Might be our big ring gauges. Although I might be wrong, but à mon avis, this is what I think. Big ring gauge cigars have a cult-like following. Some people love to smoke big ring gauges, is their style. Some people are completely the opposite. They dislike it, they don't think it's comfortable, and they smoke other stuff, which is totally fair. But actually, in my particular case, I was not a big ring gauge cigar smoker until I gave a try to Inch, which is our big ring gauge. And by the way, Ernesto is a pioneer in big ring gauge cigar. He loves big ring gauge cigars. And when I allowed myself to engage with the Inch range, I discovered that it was such a pleasant, amicable, not intimidating at all cigar experience. It's very airy, it's very fresh. So people would think that because of the size of the cigar, it will be a bit aggressive. Quite the opposite. You barely feel the combustion in the beginning. It's very light in terms of the hot sensation. And it's extremely enjoyable. So I think that will be, in my mind, for other cigar smokers that are a little bit adamant to try big ring gauge, I think that will be probably one of the most underrated ranges for sure. I've done so many accidental pairings. You know, you're with friends or with clients in a cigar lounge or in a bar or whatever, and you smoke what you have and you drink what you have available without thinking too much. We promote non-snobbery approach when it comes to engage with cigars and wine because sometimes you have to try stuff. Last time in Italy, in Rome, with our good partners, the team from Fred van der Melier and his team there at VCF, Pascal and Luigi. And we had a very accidental, fantastic tasting. It was La Historia, speaking of which, on a E3 Vitola, which is kind of like the size of a church. It's a long vitola. So it starts with a lot of flavor and a little heat and it develops beautifully. And we drank Contrada, which is, think of Etna, Mount Etna, Italy, think Sicilia, Scarlese. It's a, if I can describe it in a few words, it's a red, fruity, fresh, crunchy acidity type of wine. I have no clue why that wine and that cigar worked fantastically. Maybe there's a little bit of contrast because La Historia has a lot of oiliness and chocolate and earthy type of forest type of flavors. I don't know what happened. What I can tell you is we smoked that cigar, we had that bottle of wine, and we were extremely happy. So I would encourage everybody to, if you enjoy wines and cigars, just mix them up and see what happens. My grandfather, because not only I met him too late in his age, by the time I met him, he couldn't talk too much. He was already on on his way out of this world that we know. It would have been amazing to sit down with him, smoke a cigar, listen to his stories, learn a few lessons from his life. Probably would have saved me a lot of time in my own life. That would have been fantastic to enjoy a cigar with him. So if I could make that happen, I would make that happen.